Democrat spokesperson Max Wilkinson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is right that the government is looking for ways to bring order to the asylum system. It was left in total disarray by the Conservatives. Sadly, the government has been too slow to act. Britain has a long and proud history of responding with compassion to people fleeing unimaginable horrors. That should continue in a way that is fair and sustainable, so we welcome some of what the Home Secretary has said on that score. But what is not helpful is the Home Secretary claiming that the country is being torn apart by immigration. Acknowledging the challenges facing our nation is one thing, but stoking division by using immoderate language is quite another. I will, however, welcome news about safe and legal routes. This is something the Liberal Democrats have called for some time, since they were scrapped by the Conservatives, leading to more small boat crossings. But we do have some concerns about the far-reaching detail behind these proposals, which seems to be missing. The Home Secretary is revoking the legal duty to provide asylum seekers with accommodation and says asylum seekers should support themselves and contribute to our society. But she is still banning them from working so they can support themselves, contributing to our society. That makes no sense at all. She relies a lot on Denmark as an example. Denmark lets asylum seekers work after 6 months. So will she. And can she guarantee that the burden to house asylum seekers won't fall on already struggling local councils? And can she guarantee that we won't see a whole-scale transfer of asylum seekers from hotels to the streets? And if the Minister for Border Security and Asylum announced to the media asylum seekers could have jewellery confiscated, is the Home Secretary doing this to raise money or to deter people? And either way, does she acknowledge that many British people will see it as unnecessary and cruel? State-sponsored robbery will certainly not fix a system that costs taxpayers £6 million every day in hotel bills. If the government plans to keep its promise to end hotel use, it must also process the claims of the 90,000 backlog of asylum seekers, something the Liberal Democrats have a plan to do within 6 months using Nightingale-style processing centres. Does the Home Secretary seriously believe that an overstretched Home Office, which has yet to clear the existing backlog, can also undertake reviews of every refugee's status every 2.5 years? The UK must continue to lead international efforts to manage large migratory flows, and because the flow of people comes from Europe, she will need to work with the EU on a solution. The Oxford Migration Observatory has identified a clear Brexit effect. That means people refused asylum in the EU now make a second attempt here, a consequence of the Brexit delivered by the Conservatives and the honourable member for Clacton 2. The Minister refused to answer earlier whether Brexit has harmed our immigration and asylum system. So I'll ask the Home Secretary now, does she think that Brexit has made it easier or more difficult for this country to control its borders and asylum system? And does she think reductions in overseas development spending will reduce or increase migratory flows? We have already made it very clear that we think leaving the ECHR will make no difference to securing our borders and will tear hard-won rights away from British people. It's encouraging that the Home Secretary has said that is not part of the government's plan. Finally, we urge the government to tread carefully, to act with fairness, to act with efficiency, and to act with compassion for local communities in the UK who want this resolved, but also for asylum seekers too.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I have to say to the honourable gentleman, I wish I had the privilege of walking around this country and not seeing the division that the issue of migration and asylum system is creating across this country. Unlike him, unfortunately, I am the one that is regularly called a fucking Paki and told to go back home. It is I who knows through my personal experience and that of my constituents just how divisive the issue of asylum has become in our country. And I do say to him, I wish it were possible to say that there isn't a problem here, that there's nothing to see and that it is all, in fact, just extremist right-wing talking points. But this system is broken and it is incumbent on all members of Parliament to acknowledge how badly broken the system is and to make it a moral mission to fix this system so that it stops creating the division that we all see. And I do say to him, I do not think it is acceptable or appropriate for people in this place to not acknowledge the real experience of those who sit outside of this House. We are supposed to be in here to reflect that experience in this House, and I hope that he will approach the debates that we will no doubt have on all of these measures in that spirit.